Hi, my name's Rory. I'm an identity architect in the IAM space, and I work with the Microsoft products, and I also do a bit with Auth0 and Identity Server. Today, I want to just give some thoughts about the new Gartner MQ quadrant that's come out for IAM. Uh, this is the article on one of the Microsoft blogs where you can go and read up about it. And some of the things that I mentioned during this talk are in my blog, The New Control Plane, and that's the URL. So this is the actual latest quadrant. You can see the two main players up here are Okta and Microsoft. Microsoft originally, I think when I first started with Azure AD, was down here somewhere, and it's slowly moved up and it's doing really well. And what's also of interest to me is the first appearance on the quadrant of Auth0, which is down in the Visionary quadrant. And if you go and read the report, Visionary is kind of market understanding, market sales, product strategy. So let's start off with Auth0. It's started off very much as a developer focused. It's got probably the best set of samples of any of the identity as a service offerings. If you go and look on my blog, you'll see I've actually listed the samples that are available across the whole range. It's low friction, it's easy to get to market, it's easy to get up and running. It targets all the scenarios, B2B, B2C, B2E. One thing for me that stands out is they have a very good selection of social, including all the Asian socials, which of course here in New Zealand we get a lot of visitors from Asia, and that's of enormous benefit to them. There's a free developer subscription, and that is very useful for having a play, seeing how to do it, get up and running with one of the samples. I suppose one of the drawbacks is the reporting and analytics is probably not as mature as some of the other ones I'm going to discuss. But it is not that big at the moment as a company, so I guess they have to pick and choose what they're going to focus on. And I think one of the challenges is that they have very much got to where they are by focusing on the developer market, and now the challenge is to how do they move to the enterprise market, and I'll be certainly watching that with a great deal of interest. One of the other ones that I've used is, of course, ForgeRock or OpenIAM over here. They are definitely not a developer tool. They're definitely not a startup kind of approach. They are very much the enterprise market. From having used it, it is not easy to get up and running. There's a lot of learning. There's a lot of effort. It's certainly not easy out the box. It's derived from Sun's SSO, and that was open source. And there's still source available. But from my experience, to get it to work, you need a good understanding, and it is not trivial to customize. So it's definitely a player that I've used. It does the job, but it's enterprise and there's significant investment. Then we get over to Microsoft. I've got two products, Azure AD and Azure AD B2C. And there's a lot of stuff on the internet about the way that Azure AD with pass-through authentication and single sign-on is going to basically get rid of ADFS, and there's actually an article on my blog about that. You can go and read it, read my thoughts about whether that's true or not. It does come with a number of different levels. I think before you go ahead, you need to look at the levels and see what level is going to suit you. Obviously, the higher the level, the more you pay. The basic level, which is basically just authorization and authentication, is free, and Microsoft have basically pledged that it will always be free. So if that's all you want, it's an ideal one. Of course, the whole of Office 365 runs on Azure AD, which gives it a huge uptake in the market. And it'll be interesting to see how much of the Microsoft support and coverage is 365 and how much is actually people doing custom IAM. They have enormously improved the sample documentation up on docs.microsoft.com. It hasn't got as many scenarios, but they do cover most of the main ones. They are increasing features by leaps and bounds. Conditional access is one that is just every week there's a new feature. That's one of the fastest growing areas of Azure AD. But I think where Microsoft really have an edge is that they can build on other teams that have built Azure artificial intelligence and Azure machine learning, because that lets them do threat and analytics and contextual access control. They can do reporting. They can be proactive. In other words, you log in from Europe and then from Asia within 5 minutes, they can disable your account. They've got password protection. They're kind of like the Troy Hunt, have I been pawned? There's a proxy as well, Azure AD proxy. And I think what we're seeing with all these identity as a service products is that identity is no longer just authentication and authorization. It's now becoming more of a security thing, more of the machine learning, more the adaptive learning, reporting, proactive handling of your accounts. And that's why I think, and that's why the title of my blog is Identity is the New Control Plan. Right. One of the drawbacks is that they have very limited social. And in fact, on my blog, you'll see a way that we hook that into Auth0. So you've got all the richness of what I've just described, and you've got all the richness of all the Auth0 social connections. The other one, of course, is Azure AD B2C. I think that's not nearly as mature as Azure AD. It does work fine for a very specific use case, and that use case is a website for people that you want that are going to self-register, self-password reset. In other words, customers, you don't want to have a help desk. They can come in, access your portal, do their own registration. You can ask them some questions. You can set up custom questions, and you can mine that for data. And in that use case, it works very, very well. Unfortunately, it's only OpenID Connect coming in and OpenID Connect and SAML going out at the moment. Anything else, you need to use XML custom profiles. That is not trivial, and it needs a lot of work there. And you can't integrate it at the moment to other things, so you can't integrate with Office 365. And it's a different kind of tenant to Azure AD, which also has caused some problems when I've been implementing it. But again, I've used it for the use case that I've described, and it works really well. And I've also used that kind of use case on Auth0, where people register, you can ask them questions, do some drop boxes and check boxes and things you can add to the screen, and that also works very well. Okta is another one that I've used. Okta, of course, is way up here with Microsoft. That is very definitely an enterprise. They're pretty much targeting that market. Again, the social is limited. One thing I don't like about them is that they only give you a developer sandbox to play around when it's kind of time boxed for a month or whatever it is, and then you need to start coughing up the moolah. And I just don't like that approach. I think, if people want to use these products, they need to say, well, here's a free level. Okay, you can't put it into production, but play with it as often as you like. And that, I think, is a huge advantage that Auth0 and Microsoft have got, in that those lower levels are free forever. And I've had tenants in both for years, and I'm always in there and playing and doing stuff. I think time boxing it is probably not a good idea. They do have a developer portal. It's not as many scenarios as Auth0, as I said, but yeah, they are getting there as well. So that's some of my thoughts on it. It's definitely becoming, no longer niche. It's now becoming almost, mandatory. And you can kind of see, I've known people use Optima IDM, that's way down here. If you're in the COBOL kind of market, and Microsoft Focus have invented into the IAM, ForgeRock is over there. Ping is another player. They've got some good products, and Ping actually has a tie-up with Microsoft Azure AD. But as I said, the main players are the Oktas and the Microsofts, and it's really up to the others to play catch up and get there. Thanks for listening.